President Trump also hoping to move forward on the rest of his legislative agenda as House Republicans unveil a budget plan for 2018, paving the way for tax reform. But that proposal comes with some significant spending cuts that may make it difficult for the legislation to proceed. The president meeting today with the Republican senators discussing the road ahead. And joining me now to discuss that is Ashley Hayek. She's a Republican strategist and executive director of California Women's Leadership Association, and Wendy Osefo. She's a liberal political commentator and professor at Johns Hopkins University. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you, Heather.
So let's talk about this, and I'll begin with you, Ashley. We see all the problems that we're having right now with getting a health care bill passed. Do you think that it's possible that we can come to an agreement on the budget?
Yeah, there have been a lot of issues, and I think that we will get to an agreement on the budget. Republicans know going into 2018 that they need to have a win. They have to accomplish something in this year in order to be able to retain their seats in the next election cycle. But more importantly, what I'm hoping is that the Republicans can look at the tax code and make some significant changes to reforming the tax code as it stands currently. There are 9.8 million businesses women-owned throughout the country, and only 1 in 10 of those actually hire employees. And I think that really says something about the overregulation that we have currently with our tax code that's absolutely strangling small businesses.
Now, Wendy, this is just the blueprint for the budget. It's called Building a Better America, a plan for fiscal responsibility. And it says that it will balance the budget within 10 years by cutting spending, reforming government, growing the economy, and the budget produces a $9 billion surplus in the fiscal year 2027. But you don't think that this is a good budget?
No, I don't. I believe that the GOP budget as it stands right now is not a plan of action, but rather is a plan of attack on poor and middle class Americans. It gives tax cuts to the rich. It cuts into Medicare, which is a promise that Trump said that he will preserve, and also non-discretionary defense spending. It cuts it by $424 billion. This is something that will mess up our country's infrastructure as well as harm those individuals who need the most help.
Yeah, Ashley, when it does come to defense spending, you just heard Wendy mention that, it does provide funding to secure the border and protect the homeland.
Under the Obama administration, there was the least amount of defense spending that this country has seen since World War II. So it's going to be critical to increase our defense spending and that affects families, it affects, the technology that we have, it affects our borders, and that's going to be a major point of interest for Republicans. However, you're going to hear the left constantly talk about how the Republicans are trying to derail low-income families, and the fact of the matter is they're calling for welfare reform. Paul Ryan just brought up today that he wants to make sure that he moves that forward this year as well, because right now the current system is actually holding people back and not helping people move forward in their careers.
Yeah, Wendy, this budget, it does give reconciliation instructions to 11 House committees to achieve at least $203 billion in mandatory savings and reforms. So how is that a bad thing?
Well, it's not necessarily that's a bad thing, but it just lacks the support needed to move forward. Right now, we have Representative Meadows saying that as the bill stands right now, he won't support it. So it's not just a liberal thing or something with the Dems. The conservatives as well as the moderates are opposed to this budget as it stands. And we need to come together in a bipartisan, bicameral way to look at this and to make sure that everything that needs to be in there is there. And using a shell budget is not going to work, because we see what has happened with healthcare. That's exactly what the GOP did in January, was to use a shell budget. So we have to do something else.
Yeah, and Ashley, finally, just quickly, Wendy does make a good point. How do we get both sides within the Republican Party themselves to come together on this? Well,
and Wendy makes an interesting point. The Freedom Caucus, which is probably the greatest block to passing this budget, are the ones who want actually more budget to social welfare programs. So I think at this point, Democrats do need to look at this and say, you know what, I'm willing to move forward to help with the current budget as it stands.
All right. Thank you both for joining us. Appreciate it. We've had some breaking news, so we have to wrap it up. Have a great day.
Thank you.